Good afternoon, folks. Just thought I'd share a few thoughts again today on some reflections on this past week. There's a couple of things that have happened this past week that gave me pause for thought. Number one, on Tuesday evening, we had a meeting of our church council. And it was the first time in months where we actually met face to face. We had to set up a larger room than we would normally meet in. We had to take the proper precautions for, physical distancing and making sure that everything was wiped down and will be wiped down again afterwards. But I cannot explain just how good it felt to actually sit face to face with an individual and to be able to talk with some sense of normalcy after all of this time. And I know things are starting to get back to normal, or not normal, but the new normal. I know things are starting to relax and we're able to get out more. And it's been such a long time, such a long haul. The other thing that happened was on Wednesday, I had an opportunity to finally go and get a haircut. And as I was sitting in the chair and the clippers were going along, buzzing around by my ears and taking away my flowing locks and curls, I couldn't help but smile and think to myself, God is good in such a very simple act. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, to share some thoughts about today. Just how we can find pleasure in the simple things. And I think if there's one good thing that's come out of this COVID-19 crisis, is I think we have a deeper appreciation for the simple pleasures of life. I know that, we've been able to spend time with family in our bubbles. We've been able to do things that we wouldn't perhaps normally have done. Spending as much time as we do on a continuing basis, we looked for newer ways to amuse ourselves. So rather than sitting down and watching television for a couple of hours at night after work, you didn't want to have to sit down and watch television all day long, so you were looking for different things. A game of cards, doing craft, coloring a picture, spending time with the kids, playing games. It was an opportunity to rediscover simple joys. And I think that that's a gift that comes to us from God. And to fully understand what it means when Jesus said, I came that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. We need to rediscover that fullness of joy, to understand that joy doesn't have to come from these big events. It comes more times than not from the simple pleasures. One of the greatest pleasures I have over these last few weeks is, once a week I sit down with this video camera in my office and I make a message for our kids, for our Hearts and Hands children. And it helps me to feel connected to them. And I think when we decorated the church sanctuary with the pictures that they had drawn for Mother's Day, there was such a vast response from the individuals who were watching the services about how beautiful it was. And that's why I've kept those pictures up in the sanctuary to this day, and I will continue to keep them up. Because I think even in those moments, people realized that there was a great joy that came from such a simple pleasure as seeing a child's drawing. And, this past week really made me appreciate how much I had taken for granted. Simple acts and simple things, being able to go and get a haircut, being able to sit down with friends, and even in the form of a church meeting, to be able to enter into fellowship and to discover a certain sense of joy in that way. I really hope that you too are able to discover those simple pleasures and to treasure them. Let us never, ever again take for granted all that God has given to us. If you get an opportunity to sit down across from a spouse or a friend or whatever and have a game of crib, treasure that. Treasure those moments when you're able to sit down and break bread with one another. As the regulations begin to relax, we're able to rediscover even the simple joy of sitting in a restaurant and having a meal. Things that we probably wouldn't give a second thought about 8-9 months ago. But now, it's almost like a resurrection. It's almost like a rebirth. And perhaps it's appropriate that it would happen at this time of year, spring, summer, where God recreates the earth. God recreates within us a new spirit. Let's open ourselves to God's touch in that way, and let us look at God's world through new eyes, and in the hopes of doing that, perhaps we'll look at God's people with a new love. Stay safe, and God bless. And I look forward to the time when I'll be able to see you all again, face to face. Until that time comes, know that I am missing you and that I am thinking about you. Take care.